Do you ever feel like you're living on autopilot? That the days go by one after the other and nothing really changes? You dream of a better life, but something always seems to hold you back? That's right. You're not alone in this. Many guys grow up hearing that one day everything will work out, that you just have to wait, that the right time will come. But what if I told you that this mentality is slowly killing you? That this little boy inside you, full of excuses and fears, is preventing you from going out and getting what you really want? The problem is that no one is going to knock on your door and hand you the life of your dreams. You need to go out there and take what's yours. But before you do that, something has to happen. You have to kill that boy inside you. Sounds strong, right? But let me explain. This boy is not your essence, your joy, or your free spirit. This boy is the part of you that runs away from responsibility, that sabotages itself, that makes excuses for not facing up to challenges. It's the side that hides behind procrastination, fear of failure, and I'll start on Monday. Do you know what happens to people who live like this? They wake up one day, look in the mirror, and don't recognize the man they see. He feels empty. He realizes that the years have passed and that he hasn't really built anything, that everything he wanted got stuck in the what-ifs. And then comes the regret. But calm down, I'm not here to bring you down, quite the opposite. I'm here to tell you that there's still time, that you can change this story, but that only happens when you decide to stop waiting and start acting. You need to understand one thing. No one is going to save you. There is no magic mentor, no perfect moment, no miracle solution. There is only you and the decisions you make every day. You can continue to be held hostage by the past, or you can take control now. And this is where many people get stuck. Because it's scary. Because change hurts. Because giving up the old excuses means facing up to the fact that until now you were living below your potential. And that weighs heavy. But do you know what weighs more? Living a lifetime without ever really trying. Now I ask you, are you willing to pay that price? Or will you finally decide to stand up and fight for what you deserve? There comes a time in every man's life when he has to make a choice. Remain a hostage to his own weaknesses or take charge of his own existence. The problem is that most men never really make that choice. They wait. And while they wait, life passes them by. What's stopping you from taking action today? What makes you postpone your dreams? Fear of making mistakes? The weight of other people's expectations? The comfort of routine? Whatever it is, deep down it all comes down to one thing: a lack of responsibility for yourself. Kierkegaard talked about this. He said that freedom is not a gift, but a burden. Because being free means being responsible. You have no one else to blame. There are no more excuses, and that's scary. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to outsource the blame? Blaming the government, the economy, your parents, your childhood, your boss, anything but yourself. But let me tell you the truth. As long as you play this game, you'll never get anywhere. And what an irony. Every man wants to be strong, to be respected, to be admired. But few are willing to pay the price. Because being strong isn't about looking tough. Being strong is about being disciplined. And discipline means doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest leaders in history, wrote that you have power over your mind, not over external events. Realize this and you will find strength. In other words, the difference between those who succeed and those who fail lies not in the opportunities that arise, but in the way each person reacts to difficulties. Those who win are those who face challenges head-on without waiting for perfect conditions. So tell me, do you want to be that guy who looks back and is proud of what he's built? Or are you going to be another one who arrives at the end of life full of regrets and excuses? Now pay attention, because this is crucial. You won't feel ready, ever. This is one of the biggest myths you've been told. The idea that one day you'll wake up motivated, confident, and without doubts, and that doesn't exist. The guys who won didn't wait to be ready. They went with fear. And do you know what the biggest difference is between those who succeed and those who give up? The ability to persist. Because you will fail, you will stumble. But if you get up every time, no one can stop you. But for that to happen, You first need to kill that child inside you, that boy who wants the easy way out, who wants everything quickly and effortlessly, that boy who, deep down, is afraid of becoming a real man. So what are you going to do? Are you going to keep pretending that everything is fine? Or are you finally going to face this battle and come out the other side stronger? You know what the problem is? You've been domesticated. Ever since you were little, you've been taught to wait, to follow the rules, not to take risks. You were told that you had to be a good boy, that you couldn't make mistakes, that it was better to follow the safe path. And without realizing it, you became weak. But the outside world has no patience for well-behaved boys. The world doesn't care what you think you deserve. It only responds to one thing: action. Ortega y Gasset said that man is himself and his circumstances. This means that yes, your environment shapes you, but it also means that if you don't do anything to change those circumstances, you'll just be another product of them. And what happens when a man accepts that he is just a reflection of the world around him? He becomes mediocre. He adapts to what is expected of him. He does what others do. He works at what he hates. He accepts crumbs. He settles for anything. But you weren't born for this. You feel it inside, don't you? That discomfort, that weight on your chest, that voice that tells you that you could be more. The problem is that every time you try to change, that little boy inside you panics. It pulls you back. It reminds you of all the times you've failed, all the criticism you've received. It wants to keep you small because growing up hurts. And this is where many people give up. They go back to their comfort zone, to excuses, to distraction. But let me tell you something. The price of running away from pain now is suffering forever. Octavio Paz said that identity is not given, it is earned. In other words, the man you want to be needs to be built, day after day. This requires work. It requires you to face your own fears. Getting out of bed even when you don't feel like it. Making difficult decisions. Abandoning habits that weaken you. But you know what the good news is? If you keep at it, the pain goes away, and in its place something new is born. Resilience, strength, clarity. What's stopping you from taking that first step? Fear of failure? Fear of judgment? If so, let me ask you, what if it works out? What if today's decision is the beginning of everything? What if in a year's time you look back and realize that this was the day everything changed? Don't wait any longer. If you feel you need to do something, do it now, not tomorrow, not on Monday. Now, if you decide that you need to act, the hardest part remains, sustaining that decision. Because deciding to change is easy. In the heat of the moment, everyone wants to be better. Everyone wants to win. But then what? What happens when the excitement wears off? What about when the world gives you reasons to give up? That's when most people fail. Because real transformation doesn't happen on the first day. It happens on the 100th, the 1000th day. When no one is looking. When no one is applauding. When it's just you against yourself. Marco Aurelio wrote, "If you worry about what is out of your control, you waste your time and energy." In other words, there's no point in focusing on what other people think, on what you've lost, what could have been. The only thing that matters is what you do now. But what if I told you there was a trick to this? That there is a way to become unbreakable? The answer is simple: self-control and self-knowledge. Socrates said, "Know thyself." This means that before trying to change the world, you need to understand who you are. What are your weaknesses? What are your favorite excuses? What makes you run away from the fight? Do you want to be stronger? Start by mastering your mind. Do you want to be more disciplined? Stop relying on motivation and start building solid habits. Do you want respect? First learn to respect yourself. The turning point comes when you realize that you no longer need to be held hostage by your will, your impulses, and your emotions. Because true power doesn't lie in brute force. It lies in self-mastery. And here comes the final question. Are you ready to take control? Or will you continue to be a slave to your weaknesses, your excuses, and that spoiled little boy inside you. The choice is yours. Now that you know that no one is going to save you, that only you can take charge of your life, one last question remains. Are you really going to do it? Because many people get to this point. They get the message. They realize that they need to change. But then, instead of taking action, they go back to what is comfortable. They think it's nice to talk about change, but they don't do anything to transform their reality. And do you know why? Because change hurts. Because growing up requires sacrifice. Leandro Carnal talks about this a lot. He says that adulthood begins when you understand that no one is to blame for your frustrations. That's the turning point. The day you stop looking for excuses and start looking for solutions. But let me be straight with you. This is not going to be easy. You will fail. There will be days when your mind screams at you to give up. There will be moments when you wonder if it's worth it. And it's exactly at these moments that the difference between the winners and the failures happens. The weak give up. The strong keep going. Marco Aurelio wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This means that what seems to be blocking you is exactly what will strengthen you. If it's hard, keep going. If fear strikes, face it. If you've fallen, get up. Because a real man is not one who never stumbles. He's the one who never stops walking. And the truth is, if you really want to change, you need to start now. Today. Not tomorrow, not Monday. Just now. So here's the challenge. Pick one thing, just one thing, that you know you need to do. Something you've been putting off for months, maybe years. It could be your health, your work, your relationships. Now go and do it. Because this could be the first step towards the life you've always wanted. The little boy inside you will try to stop you. But now you know it has to die, and the man you were born to be must be born.